Well, this Saturday at Belmont, the feature event is the Group 3 Belmont Sprint. In 2006, the race was won by Let Go Thommo. The trainer was Steve Ryan and the jockey was Link Robertson. Now, 13 years past that race, we have a reunion of sorts with Steve and Link joining us here at Squire's Loft, the establishment of Link Robertson. Gentlemen, welcome to the races WA and welcome to reminiscing about the Belmont Sprint in 2006.
Yeah, thanks Julio, it's glad to be here and time flies.
Can you remember, let's go back to 2006, your first big feature win. Can you take us back to the race itself and leading up to the race, and what were your expectations? Well, Let Go Thommo was favourite for that particular race.
Back in those days, Link and I had a good team and a combination of getting horses out to the bush, and I kept saying to Link, just don't run last. That was our career. Don't run last. Run second last and we don't look as bad, you know. And then all of a sudden Thommo comes along and we have a horse that can put us in city racing, because even just get a horse into town for me was an achievement. And Thommo came along, he got beat his very first start at Northam in a maiden, which was disappointing because he was 60-1 and we thought he could win that day. So we only had a small bet on him. And then after that race he's come out and he won, and during the early days Lucas Camilleri rode the horse, and then probably about his third start Link jumped on and steered him along. I said, well, Link gets on with him all right, so it's all right. Then when Lucas not available, we use Link. And when the horse went through his grades and we sort of looked at where we could aim the horse, we'd seen the Belmont Sprint was coming up and spoke to Link, and he said, well, and Lucas, and they said, well, you might as well have a crack at it. So it probably would have been about a 3-4 month sort of program leading up to the Belmont Sprint. And during that time, Lucas was on the horse and he was winning his midweek races easy, and his Saturday grade races was going through pretty cruisy. And then Lucas got hurt. I think he might have broke his leg probably a few months leading up to the race. So Link got back on the horse, and I didn't want to have the horse in like the listed races early and take him against a better one. So we just went through the lesser grades on the same sort of day, and just so he had some easy kills and kept his batteries full for the Belmont Sprint when we sort of come to that target.
Well, he went into that race in super form. I think it was his 14th start at the Belmont Sprint, and that was his first feature race. Just going what Steve just said then is that unfortunately for Lucas, he injured himself, so that presented you the opportunity. But what were your feelings then? Obviously disappointed for Lucas, but knowing that, having ridden the horse previously, knowing the ability of the horse going into that race.
Oh yeah, fortunate enough for me and unlucky for Lucas, but yeah, very, very good horse to sort of pick up the ride, and yeah, it was great to have you know, an up-and-coming trainer for the group race, and yeah, he done it easy on the day.
Just take us back to track work on the Tuesday. I think there was a lot of talk, pre-race talk, and a lot of chatter leading up to the race. Yeah, well, and there was an incident, not an incident, but there was something that happened with you and Trevor Andrews leading in.
Well, Trevor Andrews obviously a leading trainer in Ascot, and he never spoke to me, never come up and spoke to me in my life. So this probably a week before the race, he came up and he introduced himself and said, you know, heading for the big race, you do want to work with a good horse and give it a good gallop. I said, yeah, no worries, we'll organise probably the Saturday before. Anyway, when he left, one of his mates come up to me and says, be careful, he's testing you out. I said, what do you mean? He said, he just wants to see where your horse is at. And I said, oh, we would be right.
Because he had Hartley's Dream in the race.
He had Hartley's Dream in the race. I think it was one of the favourites leading up to the race, and in good form too. So come that Saturday morning, I think it was, a week before the race, we worked out the gallop, and then approaching the 600 metre mark, Hartley's Dream with Paul Harvey riding, I think was on the horse, kicked clear and probably put 2 on Link in the gallop, and my heart broke. I'm just, oh, we're out of our depth here, you know, we've got no chance. And all of a sudden, Link straightened up and I may have just taken a breath or let some air out and just moved his hands, and then Thommo just, boom, just put 2 lengths on him, and then all of a sudden I'm just going, oh, I think we're in the real deal here, we're in with the big show. And then Link come back and just said, look, we could have put 6 on the horse, and he said, well, you know, come Saturday, we're going to be unbeatable.
What was the gallop like to you, Link? Obviously that just topped off his preparation perfectly.
Oh, the feel was magic. I just knew that we had a very good chance of winning that day. I think we drew quite wide, and we just sort of slotted him 3 deep with cover, out of trouble, and I just come round him. I knew I had the best horse.
13 years, mate. I think you're 4 wide. Come on. Each year we're getting wider and wider. I think it's 4 deck without you.
Yeah. Well, what were the instructions from Steve? Did he saddle you with many instructions?
No, I mean, he knew that I knew the horse well enough, and that's how Thommo liked to race, sort of just get a bit of cover and settle back early in the race and save up for the straight, and you know, that's exactly what he did.
And you're confident throughout the run?
I think he started saluting about 100 out, and I don't know, did he cop the fine for a salute?
Not sure, actually, not sure.
Yeah, he gave a good salute.
Might have been one of many.
So that was your first feature win, and he's arrived on the stage, Let Go Thommo. What did you do to celebrate that particular race, knowing what it meant to you and it put you on the map, or put the horse on the map? What did you both do to celebrate the occasion? Yeah,
well, being an owner trainer like I was in the time, you sort of, your horse comes first, and you can't just let your horse go and go celebrate with all the, you know, the celebrities and the committees and you get the free drinks. So you've virtually got to get your horse back home and spend the next 3 hours, you know, just making sure he's all right. But I think that night we just went out for a quiet meal and didn't, you know, go too extreme, because I think it was virtually the next day we started playing in Melbourne, and I think it was more of a case of organising where the future held for us.
Link, I think you went on holidays after that to celebrate?
Actually paid for a trip to Queenstown, New Zealand, a snowboard trip.
New Zealand together, so that was a bit of fun, and yeah, not long on that time. You started riding horses like Marasco, and you know, so in the Perth racing at that time was amazing. You know, some really good horses going through, and the jockeys were a good bunch of guys and sort of got on really well, and it was a great time.
Link, can you remember some of the riders in that particular race?
I definitely remember going past one of Neville Parnham's and Brad Parnham,
the electric
jockey, and Troy Turner in some red colours.
Yeah, so there was Troy Turner, Brad Parnham, and Paul Harvey, Alana Williams, and Paul King. So some of the riders are still going around today.
Yeah, good luck to them.
Now, that trip to New Zealand, there is a little bit of a story to that trip as well, isn't there? You assumed it was only going to be a moderate trip, or moderate expensive trip, but ended up being a bit more than what you may have hoped for. Instead of a 2-star hotel, you ended up staying in luxury.
I wasn't much of a traveller, you know. I just sort of, horses were my life, and Link knew what was going on, so Link organised it all. And I think you organised a 4-star hotel, didn't you? And
it was actually Claire Zara, actually.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, Mark Zara's sister. She was a travel agent. She sorted it.
Yeah, it's good. So we rock up, and they said, look, your hotel's fully booked. You know, we're going to have to move up to a 5-star. And Link and I looked at each other and said, oh, geez, well, if you have to, we'll go in there, you know. But the trip was actually, for me, it was quite scary, because never been scared before, and Link was just typical jockey. He'd be doing 6 up and down while I'm holding on to the chairlift, and one instant there, Link was on a cliff looking down, and I was sitting down, I'm crashing, looking back up at him, and he took off, he jumped off the cliff and he just disappeared, went under the snow. And I've just gone, well, there goes my jockey. I think it felt like about 30 seconds, a minute later, he just popped up backwards down the ski slope, and he said, let's do it again. I've just gone, I'm going back to the hotel, I'm going to the bar, because too scary for me. But no, Link was fearless, and like when he rode, he just gave every horse a chance. He was fearless out there, and same in life. He's, you know, taking a new adventure on here with Squire's Loft. You've got to have some guts to get away from the racing game and give it a chance.
Just take us through, riders, jockeys are fearless, everyone I think can appreciate that, but take us through after that, the Belmont Sprint. You then decided to go across to Melbourne. Were you enticed to go by somebody else, or you just thought this is a good opportunity for yourself personally to go and see what you could do over east? What was the motivation in going across?
I think when you win a race like the Belmont Sprint, and you know, speaking to people like Link that have been over east and travelled, and you're on cloud 9. You just think, why not, you know? And I probably did go 12 months too early with the horse. I probably should have stayed in Perth another 12 months and may have won some better races in Perth and got a bit more money behind him, and then gone and a bit more experience. But you know, Miss Andretti was over there and everything, so we thought, why not? You know, Link said, just have a crack, you know. Must
have been the time of your life though, because you went for 3 years. We never saw you for 3 years.
I was given a three month sort of visa to leave the state, and once I was over there, I thought, well, why come home? Because virtually carnivals, once they finish, you've only got a good top class horse may only have 2 or 3 weeks in the paddock before they've got to get back into work. So flying him back home to Perth and stay for 2 weeks and go back again wasn't worth the risk of getting back on the planes and still in that, so we thought, well, might as well stay there. And at the time, I think Kersley had a couple of good horses over there, like Marasco, and Link come over and he was there, and Paul Dyson was looking after Marasco for the Kersley camp. So away from home, but you still had some close-knit fans. And Mark Zara from Perth, he rode the horse for us when we got over to Melbourne. So you're a long way from home, but actually you'll probably see more of your family when they're over there than what you do when you're back at home, because they all want to come and visit and watch the races. So it was, like I said, an amazing experience. And
well, he ran really competitively in Melbourne. He won three stakes races across in Melbourne, but he won the Group 1 in Adelaide at Goodwood. That must have been an absolutely surreal time for you. But how come Link wasn't? How come Link didn't pick up the ride on that particular occasion?
During the time in Melbourne, I think Link was doing his courses to learn how to cook steak, I think, weren't you? So I couldn't get him out of bed to ride track. I think you're pretty busy. You're pretty busy with riding Marasco and track work and helping the Kerrs out. I think during the time, weren't you, over there? Yeah, I think because they were in Caulfield, and I was in Flemington. So virtually it's like East Fremantle, South Fremantle. You don't. Caulfield's trainers from Flemington stay there, so you just sort of drift apart a little bit when you're in that sort of environment. And Thommo, during his time, I spoke to Hugh Bowman when he came over for our carnival, and he rode during the equine influenza was during Sydney. He came down, and he had 4 rides on Thommo, and he actually thanked me he got him going to get him established as far as the big trainers know who Hugh Bowman was. He never won on the horse. He run second at Flemington to one of Peter Moody's horses, and 3/3 on the horse. But he actually said that was one of the first horses that got him up and got him going and got him recognised.
So it must have been a real big thrill for you too to be involved with so much, the big names of racing when you were going across to Melbourne and then competing in a Group 1. Just being involved with, the biggest names of racing must have been an absolute thrill for you.
Oh, it's unbelievable. I mean, my father trained horses, so I grew up loving horses. And I remember meeting Link when he was a young apprentice, but he didn't come from a racing family sort of thing. But in those times he worked for Louis, and it was obviously tough, So you do your apprenticeship with Louis, you appreciate the good times, don't you, really?
Not wrong, yeah.
So,
are you a little bit regretful maybe not taking, say a race such as the Winterbottom with him?
In hindsight now, probably it's only more financial, I'd say, regret, because obviously I think he stayed in Perth another 12 months, he probably would have got a bigger bank. Where when I went to Melbourne, the quality of sprinters was phenomenal. We had 20 good sprinters we had to compete against week in, week out. But then Thommo did have a lot of injuries. He went through 4 suspensory through his career and a lot of feet problems.
Softer tracks were more suitable to him with a bit of rain. So, and I don't think it was a Group 1 back then.
The Winterbottom, no, probably not.
No. And obviously the prize money and the quality kept stepping up. So that's probably what made you look elsewhere.
In hindsight, to do it again, the only thing I would change for Thommo is probably his distance. If I could probably, when you look at Melbourne racing now, the Group 1's over 14 mile. Probably not as strong as the 1,000, 1,200 metre, because you've got a lesser pool of horses to compete against. If I had my time again, I'd probably target those races. So you have probably your Cox Plate Group 1 horses race one week, and the following week you have your lesser Group 1 horses, which I would challenge now. But unfortunately, you can't complain because we did what we did, and there's no regrets.
No, you can't be any regrets with a horse that won almost $1 million in prize money and stopped you from being a concreter, because that's what you were, I think, before Let Go Thommo came along.
You get up and do your horses and ride a couple, and then off to the slave, throw a bit of mud around just to pay the bills, and you can finish up the day with a sore back. But
now, Link, what about you since with post racing? You've established the Squire's Loft here at Subiaco. So what's life been like for you post racing?
Yeah, I mean, I was being a jockey and always sort of starving myself. I was always thinking about food, so I thought, why not go into something I was a bit passionate about other than racing, and I thought I'd give it a go, and we're coming up 9 years now, so. Yeah.
You still got an interest and passion for racing?
Oh, definitely. It's they have the annual jockeys meetings here, so we get to catch up with them there, and we still get all the owners and trainers and jockeys coming in on weekends when they can eat or when they've had a winner. So I still get to catch up, and my manager Frank Edwards, which I rode for, has a great shot. He had his big railway stakes post-party here as well, and I get to catch up and keep informed on all the ins and outs, what's going on.
Oh, that's terrific, and obviously seeing Steve go through the experience as a young man, and in the fulcrum of racing. You must be really chuffed. Obviously, you're pretty good mates and you catch up regularly, and you know.
It didn't come easy, Julio. I put him on some pretty rough horses in the day. And horses like a thing called Man Jack, that a lot of the guys know me as Man Jack, and a horse that won my very first Saturday race, Perfect Outlook, and a horse like Perfect Outlook by Sir Heed, he was dangerous, and dangerous enough where jockeys like Link, that probably rode a little bit longer, soothed the horse, just for the fact he would probably whip and shy and just a dangerous sort of horse. But Link got my first sort of city winner, so to do that for him, throw him on horses like that and win race, try to win race at Narrogin and Albany, and then all of a sudden we get a Group 3 race together. It's unbelievable.
So does the Belmont Sprint bring back revive some memories for you both, like knowing what it led to, or what it was the commencement and the launching pad? Did it sort of revive some good memories for you?
Oh, 100%.
Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it makes Link want to get back in the saddle.
Well, Link won it twice, didn't he?
Yeah, but,
True Lover, Ted Martinovich was the other one back in '99.
He was a nice looking horse, wasn't he? But I mean, Link's got a young son, so Daughter. Oh, you don't have two? Well, when Link gets a young son, he might push him towards the racing career.
She wants to ride.
So.
He wants to ride.
Oh, that's terrific. Well, we're here to celebrate the Belmont Sprint, and one of the great winners was Let Go Thommo. He was, Link, you were an essential part of the story, and as Steve mentioned earlier, some great riders were associated with the horse. Stephen King, Hugh Bowman, Damon Oliver, Mark Zara, Link Robertson, Lucas Camilleri is also part of the story. And Steve, it set you up for a wonderful period of your life here. And he was a great horse. He was almost an iconic horse in the end. He was the way he raced and he flashed home. So let's pay homage to Let Go Thommo ahead of the Belmont Sprint this Saturday.
Yeah, thanks, Link, as well.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks, boys.
Thanks, Stuart.
Thanks a lot, Steve. Thanks, Link.
No worries. Cheers, mate. Good to see you.